All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing? All right, I'm going to go out there, put the tweets out that we're live, and we'll get this going. We'll wait till about 8:35 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll get it going. Let me pop these tweets out. Let's go. Let's go to the Discord. Perfect. All right. So, let me get this up here. Perfect. So, Joey, good morning. Mia, good morning. Eric, my man, good morning, good morning, good morning. There's my alarm. Let's take a look at some of these. Still waiting for the numbers. Anyways, while we wait for that, Anthony, good morning. Don, good morning. Mills, good morning. Charles, good morning. Mary, good morning. Oscar, good morning, my man. Will, good morning. Akiva, good morning. Moises, good morning. Kara, good morning. Dustin, good morning. Marshall, morning. Mr. Demetrius, good morning. West, good morning. Jay, let's get it. Jay Kumar, good morning. All right, guys. So, I'm going to wait here for about maybe 5 minutes, get everybody rolling in here, and then we'll get started with the market outlook. We'll talk about some of the alerts, and then we'll get into it with regards to some of the free alerts, how you guys can take them, what to look for going forward, and then we'll go with some of the Q&As you guys may have. All right. Francisco, father, is that you? Yes, son. Jamarcus, good morning. Ari, good morning. Kathleen, good morning. Alex, good morning. Melissa, yo. Legit, good morning. Elika, good morning. Francisco. Dad didn't say good morning to me. None, good morning. Delta Bravo, my man. How you doing? Good morning. Zacharish, good morning. Damn, I need better eyes. There we go. We'll put it here so I don't have to look over there. All right, Jason, good morning. Big Cat, good morning. Pippi Longstocks, good morning. Shima, nice. All right, guys, we're waiting here till 8:35 before we get things actually popping here, simply because I want everyone to kind of have an opportunity to come in before we really get into the meaty, gritty stuff. All right, Jay, I'm going to start watching these every morning. Lead the way, brother. Awesome, man. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. So jobless claims numbers came out. They were actually 1,845 versus the estimated forecasted 1,936. So better than expected. We'll see what the market wants to do with that. But while we wait for everyone to tune in here, there is over 100 of you here. Go ahead and smash that like button. Show your boy some appreciation, and we'll get into this thing. Ricardo, good morning. Sheesh. I love how people say good morning, man. It's the simplest gesture we as humans could do. I love to see it. G Money, yes sir. Let's go. All right. Kim Media and Tavares. Wow, I'm struggling with that name. Good morning. Good morning. All right, 2 more minutes and we'll get it popping here. Exciting stuff. We all woke up to a sea of green. For me, it's a little worrying. I don't like waking up to too much of a gap up. And I don't like waking up to too much of a gap down. But either way, we play the levels and we get shit done. Karachi Killer, good morning. Harlem, Grand Rising. Ricardo, can we take a look at CRWD? Sure. Remind me after when we get into the tickers, we'll look at CRWD as well. Foom, good morning. Sri, good morning. Mariano, good morning. Kadar, Guten Morgen. I guess that means good morning in German. Francisco, any lotto plays, master? Tomorrow we'll take a look at lottos. Not today, really. Today I'm choosing next week expiries just for safety reasons. Yes, if you search my Twitter, I actually recommend 3 books that you guys should read. I highly recommend you take a look at that. All right, guys, so it is 8:35, so let's get into it. All right, first thing I want to talk about, yesterday we discussed a vital level in Discord, and that vital level was this 470 80, 470, 60 level, right? Why is that vital? Because on the daily here, we can see we have clear resistance, clear resistance, clear resistance, right? Now, the game plan was if we can get above this level, right? This goes back into everything I've been preaching over the past, X amount of months that you guys have been here. Pockets, all right? We're talking about pockets. So what happened today? If we can get above this level, we are in an area with not much resistance, and I mentioned that if we can get above this during the futures trading, this pocket will most likely fill. All right, now let's take a look at the 15-minute time frame, and let's take a look at where we are in regards to that, right? So this is all pre-market, after hours and pre-market. Take a look at this. Once we broke above that, right, we got it to here, 473.60. Now it broke out and kind of holding that level again. Okay, so this was the main level that I was watching. Now we have this big gap up, and we simply have to focus on our levels to get it going. So let me pop back up here. Let me put the levels up. This is what my SPY chart looks like for those of you that are wondering. So this is the daily chart I have drawn here. Let's take a look at the 15-minute time frame. And what's the game plan here? All right, so the game plan here that we're looking for is, we came up to this 437 level. All right, so if we open and we can maintain above this, we should see a nice push to this 476.03. All right, if we can push to this 476.03, great. Then we have a level that we need to kind of consolidate above or plow through with strength, retest and hold in order to continue higher. And where are we going after we get through this 476? The next area up is going to be this 479.54, which is essentially a pivot. And above that, we're looking for a move towards the 484 only if we can clear this 479.54. All right, now that's with the top side. What happens if we start selling off at the open? Well, very clear. If we start selling off at the open, we can essentially come back and fill this gap. From this close to this open, there's going to be a slight gap, right? So we can pull down to the 470.65, 469.50, right? These are the levels we need to maintain to track back higher. If we lose these, then the momentum to the top side will most likely be kind of crushed with everyone who chased these calls overnight, and now they're kind of in the red. We'll probably get some selling pressure back to that 467.30 area, 466 possibly. Okay, so these are the two ways that you got to keep an eye on the SPY. Hold above the 473.50, then you can look to make tracks back to the 476, 479. Lose this at the open, then you're looking to fill this gap on the daily before tracking back higher. And if that doesn't hold, we roll over. All right, so a few ways to kind of pay attention to this. I definitely won't be chasing calls out of the open. Gonna wait a little bit patient to see what happens out of the open before deciding on anything. All right, now with that said, let's jump into the Qs. All right, now with the Qs, we can see if this was the SPY chart, the SPY was sitting all the way up here, right? And that pocket would have initiated pretty much right here over that 493, right? We can see there's clear resistance here at the 400.93 level, but we have failed to get above that in the pre-market. Let's take a look. Right, we came up to it and rejected again, right? So this is actually showing us a little bit of a weakness in comparison to the SPY, right? So what are we looking at in regards to the Qs here, right? So the Qs, we need to kind of maintain above this 400.93. If we can't do that, if we can't push up and reclaim this, then the selling pressure is going to resume. And if the SPY shows weakness, this gap up, which we've had from the close here till the gap up here, is most likely going to fill. All right, so what are we looking at on the levels of the downside? 396.32 is an area of resistance, which is now going to be support, and lose that support, then we're going to 394.59, and then ultimately the 393.56, right? It's just a levels game here, guys. You got to understand, lots of people chase this move up, and if they're not going to be green, they might panic, get out of their position. Most likely, a lot of people bought same week expiries, and if this just decides to fall through at the open, all those contracts are going to be red, right? They're going to start panic selling. Even people who went long on shares are going to start selling. So we need to maintain some sort of level, and that level is going to be this 398.62. If it sells off, we see further downside, right? Now, if we decide to hold up, if market holds up and we push, then that 400.93 is going to be the level we're watching to the upside. Break through that, great. We need to hold, and if we do hold, we can look for moves higher towards the 403.67 and then 408.57. All right, so on your charts, draw these levels out. Understand that this is the level to the downside, that's going to be the level to the upside, and have your eyes on these levels. All right, now let me take a look at the SPY just quickly before I roll over. Perfect. So with that said, let's take a look at the free alerts I posted. All right, the first one was W. All right, let's take a look at W here. So what are we looking at on W? Look at this. This W chart doesn't get any better than this, right? We have a sell-off, consolidation, and what we're looking at here is if we can break under this 200, we can see that sell-off. We briefly breached it the other day here, but it's still holding up very well. And there's a downgrade on this today. Okay, so there's a downgrade on this. I think the price target is around 175. If we can break under this 200 level, the 193.90 should be very easily achieved, and that's like a 6-point drop. She should give pretty good rewards on this one, right? Now, if we get back above that 204 level, right, we could try to backtrack to at least retest this level up here before seeing some resistance. So that's what I'm looking at on W on the downside. Under the 200, buying those 200 puts will probably give us some profits here. But if we track back and this little H that's putting it in the pre-market doesn't happen, and we pop back up above the 204, then I'm looking to take this to the top side and possibly retrace back to the 209. Okay. Next one on the list, AFRM. Let's start with the daily here. AFRM, we're looking at 115 calls over 115, right? We can see that there's clear resistance. I have drawn here at 115. This is from a level way back. It's respecting that in the pre-market. If we pop back above the 115, we could look for a move to the 119 area, okay? Now, if we get under the 111, then the momentum pretty much is done on this, and we could see a sell-off back down towards the 108, 106 level. Okay, so watching this one, would ideally like this to break to the upside so we can treat it to the upside. But if market decides to pull, we got to kind of have levels on the downside that we can play as well. Next one is UPST. All right, so UPST, nice push over this 156.50 that I have drawn here as support. Really would need this over the 166 level to get this going on the call side. On the put side, if we get back under the 155, we should see this come back and sell off, right? Let's take a look at the daily on this for a second. So this is kind of what I'm looking at here. We have this pretty much solid move down, and if we get back, well, it's already above the 156 level, but if it gets back in this little pocket, it should have room to move at least towards the 177 area on the daily. Okay, now if it gets back under that 155, then that's what I'm looking at to buy some puts. Okay, and that 156.50 level is a level that I'm keeping an eye on, because that was the high of yesterday, and if we break back below it, momentum could be killed, and we could roll over on that one. All right, let's take a look at it again. There we go. So that 156.50 is the level to watch. Under it, look for puts, and if we get back over the 166 level, then we can look for calls, but it's got a way to go until it kind of gets to the top side there. All right, so with that said, I'm gonna hop back into the YouTube here. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and we'll kind of go over some of the tickers that you guys want me to look at. I think a few of you had already mentioned AMD, so let's take a look at AMD here. All right, so AMD, we can see again this nice little sell-off. We have resistance at the 147 area, and above that we have room to the 152. You can see there's that little pocket here on the daily. On the intraday level, if you guys are looking to trade this, you have to make sure that AMD maintains above the 147.05, right? So this is like everything else we've seen. The market is kind of looking the same across the board. We have this aggressive push up. If we start losing those supports from yesterday and can't maintain a move higher out of the gates, we're going to see selling pressure come in, because a lot of people are going to dump everything they bought overnight. Okay, so if we stay over this 147 and we start putting some sort of reversal patterns in, great, it has room to the 152. But if it breaches the 147, we should see that sell off to the downside take place. HRTX. Yeah, I don't advise trading this thing. Sub $10 name. The flow, I haven't looked at the flow, so I can't really help you there. But chart wise, there's nothing here. I wouldn't be wasting my time with a ticker like this when there's so many other amazing tickers you guys can trade. NEO. So NEO, very rough day yesterday. I mean, lots of selling took place. We pretty much breached that 29.50 yesterday, and then the market kind of decided to reclaim itself. So I'd be cautious here with NEO. There's not much that you can day trade on this thing. On the long term, I do have some stock on this, not some, quite a bit actually. I'm holding this long term, and it just keeps getting beaten down here. In the short term, I really don't see much to trade here. If we take a look at the 15-minute time frame, not much there. Possibly if it gets back above the 32.60, you can look for a move towards the 33.80, but not the best setup to be day trading today. Also, if you guys can tell me what you're looking to do with those tickers, don't just throw a ticker out there. You know, I can't read your mind. I need to understand what you guys want to do, and then I can look at it and say, yeah, you know, this is what I think. This is my opinion on it. So, you know, don't just put Walmart PLTR. Otherwise, I kind of have to guess both directions for you, and it's going to take some time to go through those. So Walmart, we saw this little W put in. That break of that neckline was a solid move. We got this strong move up, and now we're seeing a little bit of divergence here. Volumes decreasing, price actions moving up, and we're getting a little bit of a wick happening here. Do we see that 147.50? I mean, it might have that push over this 146.53. You might get that push to the 147.50, but there is a lot of resistance right there. Okay. Because there's not much meat left on the bone, because we've gone from 136 all the way up to 146, this is not on my watch list, because I don't want to risk buying this breakout and then getting stuffed and rolling over. Okay, let's take a look at PayPal. So PayPal, again here, downtrending chart. Every time it hits these moving averages, it rolls over. Currently sitting at 193. If it could maintain above this 193 level in the pre-market, if it holds above this 193 level, it should backtrack. Where it's really going to start picking up some momentum is if it breaks this pre-market high of 195. If it breaks that pre-market high of 195, then you could see a nice move to the 200 level. Let me take a look at the daily one more time. So this is going to be your next resistance area on PayPal. Right, the pivot of this candle right here, 197.92. Okay, so again, if we can get back above this 195 level, 197.92 is what you're looking at on the top side. All right, but again, just like all the other names, if this comes back down, loses the 193, it could very easily look to fall down towards the 189. So don't go try to catching these bottoms at the open unless you come to a support area. Plug monthly call. Let's take a look at Plug. So if you're going with a monthly call, I'm assuming you're trying to swing this thing. It's sitting at 32.60 right now, so a little bit of a gap up here. We do have a bullish engulfing candle. It's sitting at that 200 moving average. Let's take a look at the 15-minute time frame. again, same thing. These names are all starting to roll over now, right? So something to be wary about, because we could come back and fill that gap. If you want to buy calls on this, there's really no pattern that I see on the daily other than a candle combo here, which is a bullish candle combo. If market continues with momentum, this could go pop back up to the 34.30 area. But as far as a pattern on the daily goes, I don't see it. And to me, to hold anything, to swing anything, I would need some sort of a pattern, and that's just not there for me. You could possibly try to dip by this when it comes back down to gap fill at this level, or even possibly down to the 30. Then you can try to ride those calls for the month out, but not quality again. It's not a quality setup for me. Can you look at Zebra? Thanks, I appreciate it. ZBRA. All right. Zebra, right away we can kind of identify that we have this little consolidation area, this push up, this consolidation. If I go to the weekly chart, you'll probably see that even better here. Would really need to get above the 615. If you get above the 615, you have this nice little flag break. If we use some fibs on this, let's say 615 down to here, right? Then you use your price level, bang, bang. All right, now we eliminate. Perfect. So let's go back to the daily again. So I wouldn't initiate anything on this until we get above the 615. If you get above the 615 and close, then you can look for a move towards the 639. Possibly, maybe something that you can actually swing trade. But that's what I would look for. You would need a directional breakout out of this little channel that it's in before taking the trade anywhere higher. AMC, I don't really want to get involved with that name. I don't really care to trade AMC. So let's take a look at Be Big. You guys can take a look at this chart and tell me what you see, right? Massive volume came in. Some, retail just chased the shit out of this name, came up to 1250, and now they're all caught bag holding. Do you buy this at 295? I don't know. I don't trade sub $10 names. Not much pattern here. But it's sitting in an area of support essentially, right? This 250 area seems to be some support. Not a quality setup. If you buy this, this could go sideways for like 4 months before it gets some next person that comes in and pumps this and tries to make some money out of it. There's no trade. This isn't a trade you guys want to trade. Please check daily, weekly chart for STZ. Worth swinging over 245. Only concern is the last 8 consecutive days being green. STZ. So, you said it. The last 8 consecutive days are green, right? So, let me take a look at the max on this. Let's take a look here. So, we popped out here. There is some resistance right here. There is some resistance right here. There's going to be some resistance even up to this level. All right. So we're swinging. Let's take a look at the weekly chart now. There's just too much resistance for me to the left of it, right? If you're going to take this, the move up isn't too bad of a move up. But just like you said, it's gone up so much and you're coming into resistance. So from 236 all the way up to 241, if you were to buy this breakout here, you're going to get stuffed at 242 and then 244. So maybe if we get a consolidation and then we try to take this up, but you're only getting a $2 move and your risk to the downside is a lot more. So the risk to reward for me is not there on that one. We have too much resistance to the left of us. So it's preventing it having a good risk to reward setup. CYXT, what the hell is this? Never heard of this name. Again, around that $10 stock price. Don't really see much pattern in this. Not really sure what you want to do with it. Like I said, if you're naming tickers, let me know what you want to do with it so I can understand which way you want to trade it. 10B, not a bad chart here. It's coming up to that 51.86. What is it sitting at right now? 52-ish in the pre-market. Let's take a look. All right, daily. So if it maintains over this 51.86, it does have room to come towards this 55 area, okay? But it needs to stay above that 51.86. Then you can look to kind of trade this up towards that 55 level. Nice little pocket that it's in over this 51.86. Actually, it initiates that short-term reversal. So you have room to come up to this 55 level on the daily on that one. Somebody talked about CRWD. Let's take a look at CRWD. CRWD, not a bad name here. All right. Again, we have this level that we're kind of monitoring, 213 level. Sorry, let me go back here. 213 level needs to stay above the 213, and then you have that reversal. Now, the only issue with this is that it's the first time it's really gotten under the moving averages. The 20 has crossed the 200, so this 20 moving average is going to act as resistance. If it pops above the 213.60, which it did in the pre-market but failed to hold, if it does pop back above that, your first resistance area is going to be this moving average right here, which is sitting at around 218.80, right? If it gets above that, then you can look for a move up towards that 230 level. But again, the only move here is over the 213.60, nice quick pop to the 218, and then I'd wait for next pattern to kind of present itself on that one. Hello, what is your opinion about stock market crash, and is there a way to spot a major crash? There's no crash coming, and there's no way to spot a crash. Just trade the price action and stop living in fear is what I have to say for anyone who's worried about a crash. Nvidia swinging to 314, 317. Possible thoughts? I made a post about something yesterday in regards to swinging things. Anyways, Nvidia swing, don't really have a pattern to swing. If there's no pattern on the daily, I don't swing just because I think it's going to go up. So is there a pattern here? No, I don't see a falling wedge. I don't see a cup and handle. I don't see anything here on Nvidia that entices me to want to trade this for a swing. Now, can it move up? May the market push it, continue higher? Yeah, of course, but I'm not here to play the guessing game. I need to have a pattern, a strategy that I can repeat. To me, there is no pattern here on Nvidia. I wouldn't trade this personally, but again, over this 308.68, it does have a pocket that it can come to. That's the only thing that I would see as a short-term trade. So maybe if you're buying calls, or if you're already in calls, maybe a few days hold. Other than that, I wouldn't swing it for longer than that. Cost, cup and handle. Not really a cup and handle on cost. I think, I guess if you look at it like this and then that, yeah, it did break out. That breakout was something that I was monitoring for a few days, holding up very well here in the pre-market. Does have room to push up at least to this Fibonacci line right here, right? This extension of 590, it broke above yesterday with pretty good volume here. If we can maintain above this 561, I think cost continues to move higher towards that 590. Very strong name, has done a great job holding despite the market pullback. So, if we can continue with this move, I think it's not if we can, I think we will continue with this move towards that 590. Market's kind of selling off in the pre-market here, but cost is still holding up. So definitely something to watch on cost for continuation towards that 590 as it just recently broke out here. Do you mind talking about the upside of Cisco? Sure. So Cisco, nice little, it's clearing a couple of resistance areas here. Okay, nice volume came into it yesterday. Pretty strong green day on it. That 60.27 level is that level of resistance, and it's fighting that right now. So if it can get above the 60.30, I think it has a good job pushing here. But again, this is also very closely being followed by the market, right? If this falls at the open, then you're gonna come back into this area here. But over the 60.30, which is fighting right now in the pre-market, I think this gets a nice push towards that 61 level. It is a name that moves fairly slow, and by slow I mean doesn't have much range in it, with the exception of yesterday. But if it does get above the 60.30 level, I think this continues to move higher. Good morning. What is your outlook on Amazon? I'm looking to play to the downside based on the news for the warehouse workers who died in the tornadoes. Warehouse workers dying in tornadoes has nothing to do with, Amazon at all. They died, but doesn't really impact the business model. Unfortunately, they did die, but it wasn't any neglect from Amazon or whatnot. I wouldn't really focus too much on that news aspect, and I wouldn't try buying puts on a company just because a few people died in a storm that was a natural cause. Don't really see any put ideas here. I wouldn't buy puts on Amazon until it gets back under this 32.70 level. only then would I be worried about puts on Amazon. Otherwise, I wouldn't be touching it. It's doing a great job pushing back up here. Too much resistance for me to trade it on the long side as well. Over this 35.50, possibly I might look for something to bring it back up to this 36 level, but no puts on Amazon. What's your opinion on Tesla? Tesla, lots of eyes on this name. It is trying to find support back here. Right before that gap down, it came and kind of came into the gap zone, but a lot of people stepped up and bought it. Again, to me, there's just too much chop happening here. If you're just going based on a support and resistance level and you want to buy calls, these are probably the best areas that you want to buy calls at on Amazon and kind of hold it for a few days. Sorry, not Amazon, Tesla. Probably buy calls here and hold it for a few days to see if we retrack back up to this level. But again, chart-wise, pattern-wise, there's really nothing there for me. For a day trading perspective, I would really need this. I wouldn't even day trade this today, to be honest. There's better names out there with much more room. That's what I would focus on. I wouldn't focus too much on this because the only way I would want to trade this is for a move towards the 1014, and it's already made a pretty good move. So if it gets back above the 1000 area, maybe you can take it for a 10-14 point move. But otherwise, it's looking like it wants to come back and fill that gap, just like everything else is really in the pre-market here. QCOM near all-time highs. Yes, that looks good. I like QCOM. Something I'm also watching. Nice push in the pre-market here. So it is at all-time highs. The move next after this is going to be 199. So if it can maintain this move, it's had some pretty good news in the past couple of weeks and holding up very well here. Over the 190, 150 should see this push higher here on QCOM. All right, guys. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Go ahead and smash that like button if you're still here. And remember that every Thursday I do this 8:30 a.m. Eastern time on YouTube. And you guys can come and ask any questions that you guys may have. And yeah, all right. So don't be afraid to reach out to me on Twitter or Discord. I do always answer my DMs and any questions you guys may have. And as always, thank you guys all for tuning in. I got to get back to the room and get ready for the trading day today. Hopefully you guys stay safe out there and always respect your levels and your stops. All right. Love you guys, and we'll catch you next week.